All right, what do you think is something that the newest generation isn't going to experience because of technology? You know how
A or Gen Z? Gen A, right?
I think Z and A.
Z and A.
You know how like people always talk about like one of the biggest examples is like we used to all ride our bikes, leave the bikes on the lawn, knock on the door. Can Jimmy come out and play? And you know, like I don't know if kids still do that.
They do that now.
Yeah. But you know, like things like that where people think like, oh, now that you have internet, you're never gonna know this thing.
Well, the thing go ahead.
I think they're never gonna experience boredom.
Oh yeah,
Dude, remember like it's funny. I see all these millennial like memes of like kids riding in a car and then they're like, it's raining, right? And then they see rain droplets and they're like racing them. And I'm like, we all fucking did that.
that's true.
We all fucking did that.
So yeah.
Like there's just things that like you're fucking bored out of your mind, so you start getting creative.
That is true.
Just like you're just staring. Like, do you remember like just in a road trip or like on a plane, there's no TV. And you're just staring at a fucking back of a seat.
Nothing to do. Yeah, you just look.
Saving protocol 20 times.
Yeah.
Okay, blown here.
Yeah, you make up stories with the characters in it.
And then I think stuff like that, because like there's even kids having like laptops or iPads and whatever, right? Yeah. Like I don't really see them imagining and playing and creating as much, because I think this is so much more fun.
Like, you know,
They say that boredom is actually a good thing.
for
That's where,
creativity,
because
right?
that's where it nurtures creativity. And if you're just constantly being stimulated, then your brain's not working. You're just consuming. So the next generation might be less creative, actually.
I believe that 100%.
Yeah, if they're stuck to a device, they're not like playing like the way we did.
I think everyone is slowly becoming less creative. Yeah. The more time we spend on our phone, like I can kind of feel it myself. Like if I don't take intentional time away from it, like you realize like, oh shit, sometimes it's always on, you know?
you have a screen time limiter on your phone? Wow.
But maybe I need to bump it up a little bit more too, you know?
Did you guys all do that thing where you're riding in the car and you're looking out the window to the side and you just imagine some guy jumping through the obstacles and over the trees and stuff, and you're just like kind of tracing it like with the...
I did the same thing.
I wonder if kids still do
I
that.
thought I was so original, but now after you guys say all this, I'm like, I wasn't that original, I
At
guess.
first, actually.
I used to race raindrops myself all the time. I was the best in the world.
You know, it's one thing that I feel like this isn't to do with kids or anything, but I started thinking about this and I'm like, in the future, or even now, it must be very difficult to be an undercover cop because you have so much of a fingerprint. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, and it's getting even better on how to recognize. You can just ask Grok, who is this, with a photo, you know, like it's kind of like if you have any other reference online anywhere, how do you just be that, you know, like on Miami Vice when they're a different guy every case?
You almost need to like know that you're gonna be a cop starting in elementary school.
Yeah.
Start scrubbing yearbooks and all that shit because there's so much information now.
Unless the CIA or whatever has a way of deleting everything once you become an agent.
What if the cover up is just they have a fake Instagram profile of them just being a criminal, you know?
That's probably what they have to do now.
Yeah, like they
holy
probably-
shit.
Like
Criminal. Yeah. And it's like Joe's version of yeah.
you like infiltrate a biker gang and just you on your bike and like guns and stuff. Like that's what you have to promote probably.
Yeah. I was like wondering about that. Like how does the department navigate that? Because it must be so easy to find that this is a dude with a family and not like who.
Especially with AI, fuck.
Yeah, especially with AI. Yeah, that must get really hard.
One thing that blows Taika's brains is I was like, when I talk about how I used to watch movies, he can't comprehend like getting a TV guide and then looking at when is fucking Beastmaster gonna come on or whatever. I'm like, okay, Tuesday 7, and then you wait the whole time because now everything is on demand. Yeah. And he was just like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, you gotta wait for sometimes. You're just like, and you map your whole day out. Like, well, we'll have dinner at 6 because at 7 it comes on, and after 7, if you miss it, that's it. You can't replay. You got to wait till next week or whatever.
That's it.
It's like, what? You can't play and pause and rewind? I'm like, no, dude. So you got to pay attention.
I used to think that like that was, you know, like when you imagined going to school the next day after something was on TV and everybody had seen it, everyone gets to talk about it. And I was like, oh, they'll never have that. And then I thought about it. I'm like, well, I mean, that still happens today with stuff like Love is Blind. Let's say everybody's watching Love is Blind. You're already connected to that community online and you can probably talk to infinitely more people than you could back when we were kids and going to school with 30 people in the class or whatever. Like these communities are even bigger, and that's all they do is like watch shows and talk about it. So I'm like, maybe comparatively it's still kind of the same. Maybe that still exists, just in a different form.
I think what they won't ever have that we had was worldwide cultural phenomenon that like brought us together, like everybody loving Michael Jackson, or like everyone seeing Titanic, or like, what do you mean? Like, you know, like there wasn't so many options where you can like deep dive into a niche.
The biggest thing was always the biggest thing.
It was yeah. So like as a kid, everybody remembers like that thing. And I think the last thing might be like Pokemon, that brought so many people together at like an early age. But then like, yeah, after that, now everyone's isolated with like different ways of consuming entertainment and culture and whatever. We're like, I don't know if we're going to have mega pop phenomenons like the way that we had like, you know, in the past.
Right. That's true. Because as big as like, let's say Kai Cenat is, you ask someone just outside of the age group and they're like, oh, I don't know who that is. Because if you're just not into streaming, you're just not even going to know, even though he's like a mega star in that world.
That's true. Interests are so fragmented. Like you could just live in your bubble. Yeah. And you know, the famous people to you are just nobodies to someone else.
Because it was hard back then to be like underground or niche.
That's true. Yeah.
And then like you didn't have many options. So like
there kind of isn't an underground if you think about it.
Not anymore.
There's no like such thing.
No.
Because if something's underground, it just hasn't blown up. That's everything.
That is true. Because I think back then, the joy was like, the cool thing about finding something is like it felt special to you and then the people that were in the know. Right. So like you had to go to a record shop and you found this song and you just looked at the cover and you're like, fuck it, and you bought it. And then you're like, damn, this is some good shit, right?
Yeah.
Or like a dude selling tapes in the back of his trunk and he's like, you like hip hop? And I'm like, I do, but not your shit. And then like you somehow buy it anyway and you're like, oh, this is a good mixtape, you know?
Yeah.
But then now it's like, it spreads. I think things become commercialized hella quick. Like back then people just did it because you were like, you're just trying to make some cool shit.
Yeah, for the art.
I think our generation, a lot of people invented shit. Like you invented style, you invented whatever, and it was regional. So it's like someone in LA wasn't dressing like someone from San Francisco. Now the world dresses like each other. So I thought it was so cool when you like go to different countries and whatever, and then the fashion or whatever they're doing is so different. But now it's like there's a worldwide, like you could find your thing. Yeah. It's like if you're goth, then like you could be in Germany, Brazil, whatever, everyone's dressing the same way in that style.
A goth in Brazil? Yeah, right, dude.
And then there's like slight differences, right? Like clearly you could see how European dresses, like it's slightly different, but it's generally the same compared to like, dude, when we were growing up in the 90s or whatever, like it was so different. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really different. It is different too, like in terms of subcultures, I think. Like back then, I guess like in the 90s, subcultures were actually pretty secret. Like you just saw pockets of whole like people hanging out doing the same thing. But then now it's like it gets almost like exposed too quickly.
Yeah, it's commercialized.
Yeah, before it can grow, it's already like everyone knows about it or whatever.
Have you heard about how like no new genres and styles and like things are being invented right now? It's just a remix of like everything from our generation and before.
Yeah, I heard like the last new idea was like 2000 something. I forgot what it was, but it was like our early 2000, like 2001, 2002, but everything else.
So there's no like crazy evolution.
We're all closed now.
Yeah, everything else is new. It is like a rehash.
Because if you think about like what the fashion looks like right now, it's just basically millennial junior high fashion.
Throwback Y2K.
Yeah. And then even the music genre that everyone's listening to, like a lot of my employees who are like college age, right? Like you would think they would be listening to their generation's music. It's mostly our generation's music. Dude, Far East Movement's being played. I'm like, this is my college age music. And they're like, oh, it's good though. It's a classic.
I just like the idea of you telling them like, hey, I know those guys. And they're like, Sure, manager. Sure, boss. Boss is having one of his moments.
Yeah, LMFAO, like all the Bruno Mars, like all of our shit, like they're listening to way more than, yeah, maybe like they have Sabrina Carpenter and some other stuff, but like, yeah,
That's a trip that they want to hear old shit.
yeah.
But I guess what's the alternative if they're not making anything that interesting now?
Well, yeah, I mean, and we're in Hawaii, so not everyone's listening to like trap shit, and like maybe if I was in the South or whatever, it'd be different because it's a lot of like their reggae and then like the pop music.
Could be too that for the first time in a long, long time, rap got dropped off the billboards.
Yeah, that mumble rap fucked it up.
Yeah, you always want to go back to the old hip hop. Like for me personally, like all the new stuff that comes out, you're like, I think that's why Bad Bunny's so popular.
Yeah,
It's original.
And it's like
original.
it's different, right? It's like salsa music. Like this new album is salsa music, and people are like, this is like kind of fun for everybody.
I think people are just sad and want to feel better. And they want to have a good time. You know what I mean?
Music, you're just like, dude, I want to kill myself. I think.
Oh, yeah.
I want to commit crime.
And I'm just like, I can't relate. You know, like I can't relate to fucking Chicago drill.
Yeah, I have
What part of my life is
that
that?
many bad bitches on me like that.
Yeah.
I'm aging out, dude.
I also didn't think that to like, cause even when I was a kid, like I liked 80s music when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like as a child. I mean, obviously I grew up in the 80s, but then I listened to 80s in the 90s, 2000s, 2010. I didn't think I'd still be listening to mainly 80s music. It's so weird.
Like, a lot of people do. Like that's what most people want to listen to. Like they want to listen to like older white dudes. They, especially in the gym, I know exactly what every type wants. Like when an old guy walks in, I start playing some like CCR. And he's like, this is good. Let's play some Zeppelin. He's like, oh yeah, nice, dude. Awesome. You know?
You're a DJ at the gym.
One guy walks in, you throw some classic rock and they're happy. But then you play some fucking trap music, they're like, can we change the music?
Oh, see, it would be nice if like the newest gen really did have a signature thing that felt all their own and not something that was so easily detectable as like a rehash, you know?
because even there's so, I mean, like a lot of them are adopting like now international music, right? Like they're getting into like K-pop, like UK drill.
That's probably the majority, right?
That is true, yeah.
So I think it's like there's so much content like that, because I think our generation was like, oh, there's nothing that represents me, so I'm gonna make something.
Yeah.
Like, whereas now they can choose. There's so many different representations. Yeah. They can choose what vibe. They don't have to make a vibe.
Yeah.
So I think
Too many choices. Why create something new, right?
right. It makes sense.
The menu's too stacked already.
Yeah. Whereas like our gen was like, nah, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. And then like I'm gonna make my own sound that I have a feeling for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
And then there's enough of a foundation for them to evolve something that already exists instead of making something brand new.
Mm-hmm.